on Friday's Wales at 6. Bribed by Russia, the former Welsh leader of Reform admits to peddling Putin's propaganda for cash. Also tonight, a boost to national security or putting rights at risk, what the UK government's digital ID cards could mean for you. Plus, we meet the man hanging up his life jacket after half a century of saving lives at sea. And Gower Flower Power, Ruth's at the farm where you can stop, smell and pick your own bouquet. Good evening. The former Welsh leader of Reform UK has pleaded guilty to accepting bribes to make pro-Russian statements. The Old Bailey heard today that Nathan Gill received money from a Russian-backed politician when he was a member of the European Parliament. He was a UKIP and Brexit Party MEP, as well as a prominent member of the campaign to leave the European Union. Gill has been told to expect jail for his actions. Hannah Thomas reports.
Wearing a grey beard and a grey coat, Nathan Gill left court today knowing he'll be behind bars before Christmas for acts of bribery. There were cheers when he got elected as a member of the European Parliament, but in 2018 he was making statements like this.
The Ukrainian government is in the process of banning the two biggest TV channels in the country, Channel 112 and News 1. And proper democratic procedures are being ignored.
The statements were on behalf of this man, Ukrainian Oleg Voloshin. He gave Gill money and Gill spoke up in the European Parliament on 8 occasions. Until today, he'd denied the charges, but he pleaded guilty this afternoon.
All around, it's a very serious case and it calls for a very serious sentence. And that sentence is going to be measured in years. And I think it'll be a warning sign to all politicians and all people in public life that they must not allow themselves to be bought.
They're toast and you will then see a turquoise takeover. All right?
Nathan Gill was stood next to Nigel Farage many times as his right-hand man here in Wales. But since leaving the Reform Party, he's faced a criminal investigation for those historic bribery offences. And today he left court knowing that when he comes back, he'll be sent to prison for his crimes.
And Hannah's here now. Hannah, a real fall from grace then for a significant Welsh political figure.
Yes, that's correct, Katie. Nathan was once a familiar face here in Wales because he was one of those prominent figures advocating for leaving the European Union. He came into this building to do interviews and he took part in those leadership debates ahead of elections. So in those UKIP, Brexit Party and Reform Party guises, he was a very well-known politician. Now, Reform UK said today that they had no comment to make because Nathan Gill's involvement with the Reform UK party ended in 2021. Now, in that same year, Nathan Gill was arrested at Manchester Airport on these bribery offences. He has made various court appearances in the last 4 years, but today he admitted his guilt and he will be sentenced for these crimes on the 21st of November.
OK, Hannah Thomas, thanks very much. A new digital ID system for UK adults will act as proof of identity under plans announced by the Prime Minister. Keir Starmer insists it'll help crack down on illegal workers. Similar models do exist in some other European countries, but opponents claim it risks threatening civil liberties. Here's our correspondent Marie-Claire Kerry-Jones with details of today's announcement.
Right, out.
Cracking down on illegal workers in Wales. And by the end of this Parliament, there could be a new way to check whether people are eligible to work here. New digital ID cards are being introduced, which could look something like this. They'll include your name, date of birth, nationality or residence and a photo, and they'll be compulsory for anyone looking to work in the UK. The aim is to crack down on illegal workers, but people in Newport today weren't convinced about the plans.
I'm wary of, what can I call it, internet fraud. So unless there's some super duper security system in place, I would be against it personally.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I've got no objection to it at all.
Do you think it might help with immigration? That's why they're bringing it?
Oh gosh, no. If anybody wants to do anything underhand, they're going to do it.
It starts off with, OK, we're only introducing it for the one specific reason, for work. And later down the line, it'll be in order to have a bank account, you need it in order to have a mobile phone contract. And the government gets too much power.
So how will the cards work? During the pandemic, people who'd been vaccinated had a COVID pass which they kept on their mobile phone. And the new digital ID cards will work in a similar way. But you won't need to use it day to day when you're moving around. It will only be to prove that you've got the right to work here.
If you want to come and work legally in the UK, you have to obtain a visa or a permit to be able to do so. But there are people who come to work illegally in the illegal economy, and for those people, we're going to make it much easier for employers to do checks.
But civil liberty groups have concerns.
Countries like Greece or Germany that have got mandatory ID and that have also got big underground economies and have irregular migration. There's no evidence that digital ID, mandatory ID, will reduce irregular migration.
A consultation on the plan is expected to be launched soon. But tonight the government's hopeful it can strengthen immigration enforcement. Marie-Claire Kerry-Jones, ITV News.
Scanners are being used to search pupils at schools in Cardiff who are suspected of carrying knives and other weapons. The authority says the new guidelines have been issued after calls from some head teachers for up-to-date advice. Our reporter Mike Griffiths is at County Hall in the capital for us this evening. So Mike, what else has the council had to say about this?
Well, the council says this is part of a package of measures and guidance for all schools in its area of what to do if a pupil is suspected of having a weapon on them and the follow-up steps that should happen in that case. They've produced a film that I think we can show you some of now to be shown to pupils and their families, showing the process that happens, seeing a pupil being taken in with a handheld scanner among two staff and the follow-up steps that can happen with their family and with appropriate organisations if it is the case they have a knife or some other weapon with them. The council says it acknowledges that this may make some people anxious, but says this will not be routine and will only be done in circumstances where there's thought to be a risk.
They're kind of like small device. It's not like we're expecting pupils to go through like airport security every time they go in and out of school. But they're there for both the privacy of pupils and the safety of pupils, and equally for staff. It means that there's no need or shouldn't be much need for physical contact between a staff member and a pupil being searched.
What's the picture elsewhere in Wales then, Mike?
Well, the Welsh Government brought in rules more than a decade ago that allowed councils to begin measures like this if they choose to. It's understood this is probably the first time this has happened. Cardiff is the first council to do it on this basis. It has happened in schools in England before. Amidst a climate of worries over the spate of violence at times, of violent incidents and potential for it, some will welcome this, others may have concerns. The Welsh Government saying it will work with local authorities to make sure that whatever comes in the months and years ahead is applied evenly and they can all benefit from what's learnt here in Cardiff.
OK, Mike, thanks very much for the update. Carmarthen is the latest town to be hit with banking closures, with Halifax set to shut its branch there next month. It's one of more than 300 branches that parent company Lloyds is to close across the UK by next spring. It says customers shifting to online banking is behind the move. Our West Wales reporter Lewis Rhys-Jones is in the town for us this evening. Lewis, how is the news going down there then?
Well, I think, Katie, it's fair to say there's a lot of anxiety among people in the town around the fact many of them are going to be losing their local branch. After all, Carmarthen is a town that links up so many of the rural communities in the surrounding areas. There's one lady who mentioned to us she travels over 10 miles to access her local bank and worries what will happen if she loses that right. However, over in Swansea, which we went to earlier, there are efforts underway to ensure those who have no desire to bank online aren't excluded. It's a sight that's becoming less and less common, but face-to-face banking remains important to so many. Monmouthshire Building Society has pledged to stay open for its customers on high streets across South Wales, stating a need for alternative methods of banking for those who don't wish to go online.
With a large proportion of our customers that transact in a branch, taking that provision away obviously doesn't benefit them and doesn't benefit the communities in which we operate. So by offering a channel of choice for our members to transact where they want and how they want, ensures not only the long-term sustainability of those communities, but also supports our organisation with our strategic plans for growth as well.
There's still a strong presence of banks in the centre of Swansea, but it seems customer habits are changing.
I think the last time I stepped foot in a bank was 2016 after I got married, and I had to change my maiden name.
Everyone is always using online banking nowadays, and for older people it's a lot more of a struggle.
Do you like online banking?
I don't understand all that. I don't understand the internet. I don't know.
It's almost like we're trying to remove cash as well, you know? I feel like that's another really scary thing that's happening.
Over in Carmarthen, many are having to get ready for another branch closure.
I just keep my fingers crossed that the post office will stay open so they can get cash there.
I've been asked to go on online banking many times, but I've refused every single time because it has staff effects. You know, the more you go online, the less people are required to process your inquiries.
I'd rather go in the bank or even phone them up, but not online banking. I don't trust it.
Now there's much debate around how the future of banking looks in Wales and what options are out there for those not ready to embrace the digital age. Let's be honest here, most of us carry one of these in our pockets nowadays, a gateway into the digital world where we can pay our bills and get most of our financial matters underway. However, as you will have seen in the report, there are so many who still say cash is king and they prefer to deal with their financial matters with a person face to face. So as we've mentioned, Halifax here in Carmarthen set to close next month, and that'll be the second branch for this town to lose in just over a year. Meanwhile, Lloyd's branches in areas such as Gorseinon and Ammanford are also set to shut their doors. So at this point, people might be worrying, what's the alternative then if I don't have an online account? Well, people are being urged to look into local hubs. These banking hubs operate essentially the same way as their branches. However, they are manned by post office staff, and any customer from any banking firm can tap into them and access those services. So a lot of changes ahead, and while there is a lot of anxiety, banks are promising that they aren't leaving their customers behind.
OK, Lewis, good to get that update. Thanks very much. Still to come, the weekend is almost here. So, Ruth, how is the weather looking?
There's a question. Not too bad as it goes. Some sunshine, but showers too. But I do know just the way to put a little colour into your evening. Join me as I find a little piece of garden paradise in Gower, where things are looking blooming lovely.
But first, rugby. And as Wales' 4 regions prepare to kick off their seasons this weekend, the Welsh Rugby Union's consultation into their futures has formally ended. There are several options on the table, including reducing the number of professional teams here to 3 or even 2. Our correspondent Richard Morgan's outside Cardiff Arms Park for us tonight. So, Richard, still lots of uncertainty then before a ball has even been kicked.
Well, that's right, Katie. Welsh Rugby is used to a crisis, but it's hard to overestimate the uncertainty being faced by players and staff as we prepare for the new season. The decision made by the WRU next month with regard to the future of professional rugby could leave some of them out of work. So that means preparing to go to work this weekend has been more stressful than usual. To prove that a week really is a long time in Welsh Rugby, consider this. When we shot these training pictures last Thursday, Matt Sherritt was still head coach of Cardiff. Now he isn't. But even that upheaval seems insignificant when considered alongside the wider question hanging over Welsh Rugby. Will there be 4 pro teams, or 3, or 2? No one knows. And uncertainty spells anxiety.
I'd be lying to you if I said that there weren't moments where, it infiltrates you, and, certain individuals are human beings, and there's times where, your mind does drift into the what if scenario. But look, on the large part, I think the players have been superb and the staff likewise.
Wales captain Jack Morgan has reportedly threatened to leave the country altogether if the Ospreys fold, another sign of the strength of feeling in the game right now.
He loves the Ospreys, and you know he hasn't said that to me officially, but if he has, then it just shows how much he loves his teammates, and it shows how much he loves the Ospreys, and you know, I think he's got to be you know, commended for that if he said it.
Welsh rugby runs on emotion, and nowhere more so than down west, where the prospect of a professional game without Scarlets is unthinkable.
I can't imagine Welsh rugby without it, to be honest. It is the honest truth of it, because I feel that strongly that it's been, you know, a pivotal club and an entity in our country, really. There's obviously consultations going forward, but you know, for me, I think we as Scarlets need to be part of that.
And all the while, there are games to prepare for. Scarlets host Munster tomorrow, while there's South African opposition for Cardiff and the Ospreys. And the Dragons, thought by some to be the most vulnerable to the axe, travel to Ulster, determined to concentrate on the here and now.
There's a window where they'll announce something, and we might as well not focus on the things we're burning energy on and just focus on, we've got Ulster in front of us, yeah, we'll just keep improving around our parts of the game.
Foes on the field, friends off it. The players are united by something bigger than the game. Concern over what's ahead and how it might affect careers and livelihoods. Well, just a reminder of the timeline then. The public survey on the future of Welsh rugby ends today, and the official consultation period comes to an end at the end of the month. There are 4 options on the table, keeping 4 regions, but with unequal funding from the WRU, 3 equally funded regions, 3 unequally funded regions, or the union's preferred option, which is 2 regions with a budget of £7.8 million each. And now there are bound to be some changes. The current status quo of 4 teams, all with the same money, is not on the table, but we're not exactly sure what those changes will be. An announcement is expected at the end of October. It is certainly true to say, though, Katie, that there's been huge opposition to the WRU's preferred plan. You saw some of that reflected in my report. You could very well see more of that reflected tomorrow in Llanelli, where there's a protest march planned ahead of the Scarlets match against Munster.
OK, a story that keeps developing, Rich. Thanks very much. Cliff Thomas started volunteering at Pwllheli Lifeboat Station 50 years ago. In that time, he's done just about everything from emergency mechanic to station manager. Now, after half a century of service, Cliff is saying farewell to the station. So on a glorious day by the sea, Rob Shelley went to meet the man who's dedicated a lifetime to saving lives.
Many tides ago, 50 years ago, when Harold Wilson was Prime Minister and flared trousers were the height of fashion, a young man called Cliff Thomas turned up at Pwllheli's lifeboat station to ask if he could volunteer.
Half a century. The changes in technology.
Oh, it's unbelievable, you know.
How many hours have you spent on that big blue stuff, Cliff?
Oh.
Half a century's worth of volunteering further on, and he says he's retired. As if you can ever retire from anything you really love.
This is the most of your life. What has this place meant to you?
Well, it's somewhere where I could be amongst friends, you know, and amongst college, shared interests. No, it's a place where you always feel comfortable.
You always get a cup of tea, won't you?
50 years ago, they were setting off to sea with a couple of radio sets and a lot of hope. It may all look very tranquil and even slightly Mediterranean out there, but watch the waves, and you start to notice just how busy it always is out there.
People don't tend to count the number of rescues they've been on. It's always the next one, not the ones that have been, isn't it? Seemingly, anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes I never thought of, really. You know, you just go from one job to the other. I'm sure if I was to count all the services up, it would run into 100 maybe.
50 years equals 600 months equals roughly 18,000 days, or equals right here 72,000 tides. But of course, it's the strange thing with time. If you're doing something you love, it goes far faster.
Dave, the mechanic and helmsman's all of 26 years old, so that's basically half of Cliff's volunteering life. Yes, I'm measuring things in units of Dave.
When I was working under him, when he was the station manager, he was always the person to go to if you needed any advice, any sort of training. We've been very lucky to have Cliff here at the station as well.
You can't get rid of him now, anyway.
No, we can't, no.
When the lifeboat's going full pelt and all the rest of it, is there a little bit of you that's still out there with them?
Yeah, yes, it's bound to be. It's a feeling of pride more than anything, seeing the boat, you know.
The boats may change, the technology changes, the closeness of a crew, that's pretty much the same across all those decades. Rob Shelley, ITV News in Pwllheli.
Oh, congratulations, Cliff, from all of us. And weather time now, it looked pretty calm there in Pwllheli, didn't it? And it's been another glorious one today.
It has indeed, although I'm not about to count the hours and minutes of sunshine in the way that Rob Shelley just did. I'll leave that to him. It's that time of the day, isn't it? Now then, yes, the autumn sun really did put on a show today, but it clouded over this afternoon. I know, though, just the way to put a little bit of colour back into your evening. Rowan Tree Flowers is a little piece of Gower paradise owned by Trevor and Bettina Davis. Now, they grow their own flowers here and even open their fields for people to come and pick their own. As you step out of this little gap in the hedge, you are welcomed into a whole different world full of colour. It's buzzing with life and it feels like an absolute piece of paradise here.
This idyllic setting is home for Trevor and Bettina Davies. Both had careers in the creative arts, but wanted to do something more earthy, so they decided to grow their own flowers.
I don't know about you, but I just feel like there's a world outside and it doesn't sort of matter so much when you've got this. You feel...
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I mean, the silence in the evenings and all of that is just, you couldn't buy it.
And as the business has grown, as surely as the flowers, they're now able to open up their fields and people can pick their own. And bride-to-be Helen Harper has come along with baby Lily to choose blooms for her wedding.
It's really whatever takes my eye. I think everything is just so beautiful.
It is.
Everything just, you know, every single flower just pops. So it's difficult to actually decide.
Yeah, I think this is possibly the best part of a wedding.
It's clear there's a lot of love and attention that goes into growing these flowers and the lifestyle Bettina and Trevor have chosen.
But do you look back and think, we've done the right thing and, you know, this is working?
Oh, absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think the thing is that it never stops. It's always evolving and you're always learning.
And now it's time for me to learn some new skills, as Bettina has agreed to help me make a bouquet.
That's beautiful.
That is, what would that... Mark Satterway's, yours is far simpler, I think, and I've just gone all out on the colours. This is the good life. This, I feel, this is just beautiful and... Oh, that's the magic. Yeah, I think Bettina's job is safe there. You can see much more on that on Coast and Country tonight, right here on ITV1 Wales at 7 o'clock. Oh, isn't it? A whole world away. Now then, the weekend is not a world away. It's just a few hours away, just around the corner, in fact, and the weather itself is actually not looking too bad. Not brilliant, but it could be an awful lot worse. That's probably the best way of putting it. So as far as tomorrow is concerned, if you are making plans, there'll be some sunny spells, but it is going to go downhill quite quickly through tomorrow evening, turning wet and windy. That rain will then clear as we head into Sunday, but we could see just a few showers out towards western areas. And if you are heading out into the hills and mountains this weekend, we've got a lot of low cloud and possibly some drizzly conditions, so check before you head out. Now then, there is a little bit of good news as far as this wet weather is concerned, because you can see it spiralling in our direction. It's out in the Atlantic at the moment. It will arrive through Saturday evening. The good thing is, though, through Sunday it will clear, and the signs are that high pressure will start to build once that has all gone. So as far as next week is concerned, we see a return to those settled and sunny days. The temperature's perhaps not quite as cold, and we'll start to see some slightly milder nights developing, but we've got some rather eventful weather to get through over the next 24 hours. So let's take a look at that in a little more detail.
A clear start makes way for a day of ancient discoveries. TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
It's actually really rather lovely out there at the moment. Generally calm and quiet, if a little on the breezy side, but that's a good thing in a way. It's a more southerly airflow, and it means that temperatures tonight won't drop quite as low as they have done over recent nights. So in more sheltered rural spots, it should be frost-free, lows of around 5 or 6, 10s and 11s elsewhere. But we could see a little bit of mist and fog through the hills and valleys, all very seasonal as we wake to the start of tomorrow morning. Cloudy for some, with a few patches of drizzle, particularly over the hills and mountains. So if you are planning on heading out for any hill or mountain walks, might be worth factoring that in. But you can see it is for the most part going to be a really rather decent day, with spells of sunshine, highs of 17, maybe an 18, all very average for the time of year. But I'm sure you will have noticed that right behind me, the blues and greens, there is a band of rain that will be waiting in the wings through much of the day, nudging into the southwest. And then as we head through Saturday evening, it will pep up. So we could see some heavy downpours for some. Might be worth just taking that into consideration if you are heading out and about. But the heaviest of the rain, the good news, will clear by the time most of us wake to Sunday morning. So it could be a bit of a slow start with a bit of patchy rain and drizzle and some cloudy conditions too. But the sunshine will work its magic, and there'll be plenty of that autumn sunshine for you. Out towards the north and the west, through parts of Anglesey, the Clean Peninsula, we could see some patches of rain starting to show their hand. Nothing too heavy, but we'll put a little bit of a dampener on your day. But on the whole, nothing too troublesome. And high pressure will continue to build as we head through then into the start of next week. So we're looking at largely settled conditions, sunnier spells, and temperatures by night in particular, perhaps feeling just that little bit milder.
TUI sponsors ITV Cymru Wales weather.
And of course, Katie, yesterday was the autumn equinox, so that means from today onwards, the days just get ever so slightly shorter and shorter and shorter. But it is autumn, you know?
Yeah, and we've still got the
expected.
sunshine, so I'll take
Absolutely.
it. Ruth, thanks very much. Hannah Thomas is back with the late news, but from all of us on the team, have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.